Today is January 20th, 2026, and welcome to the 471st episode of the Videogames podcast. Here on the show, I talk about any game at all, including new stuff, old stuff, and anything in between. My name is Brad Galloway. I'm the one-man host of the show, and I'm also the editor of GameCritics.com, a website that uses the full range of review scores and offers full accessibility info on every review we publish. Hello! Thank you for joining me today on this lovely... checks calendar. Monday. Yes, it is Monday. No, Tuesday. I don't know how calendars work. Folks, it's been a weird weekend. It's been a busy weekend. It's been a crazy weekend, but I'm glad you're here now. First, let me kick things off with an apology for the podcast being late. I know several of you were kind of wondering what happened to it, because in general, I'd like to think I'm pretty punctual. But this was a busy one. I had a lot of life stuff going on and a lot of non-game stuff going on, and this was the first chance I really had to get to it. So let me just first apologize. I'm sorry for being late. But here we are with a brand new episode. Let's just get into it. It's going to be just me today, no guests today. And it might be a little bit of a smaller show than usual for reasons I'll get into. First, let me kick things off with, not really housekeeping, because there's nothing really game adjacent that I'm talking about today. I do have several hundred emails in my GameCritics.com inbox to get to, and I just haven't had time for those. It was podcast or email. I chose podcast, so we'll get to game adjacent stuff later. But let me give you a quick update on life. I know that this is not necessarily a political podcast, but it feels insane to me to not really address the reality of what we're going through here in the United States. Not everybody, not now. But I feel like this is kind of inevitable for a lot of people. And for people in the blue states like I am, we're experiencing this a little bit sooner. So just as a quick update, if you're in the States, you probably know a lot of this already. If you're not in the United States, I have quite a few listeners who are outside the United States. So let me fill you all in just a little bit. It's chaos in the United States. It's scary and it's dark, and everybody who has a brain and a heart is very fearful for what's going down in the country right now. And at the moment, we are experiencing ICE agents going, in my area in Washington State, going door to door, looking for people who are brown. Basic Nazi behavior. Most of the news is centered on Minnesota right now. I have been to Minnesota before. My wife is from Minnesota. It's a great place, great people. And they are under siege from our government. They are sending ICE troops in there. There's people getting hurt. There's people getting kidnapped. There's people even getting killed. And it's really bad in Minnesota right now. But it's happening in other places as well. One of my local contacts told me that they had spotted some ICE about 20 minutes north of where I live, and also about 20 minutes south. So I'm kind of right in the middle of that. Now, I myself am not really presenting very much as a brown person, even though I do have a lot of non-white in my background. Lots of my family are just Mexican from Mexico. So I am very concerned for them, and I'm also concerned for my friends and neighbors and loved ones who do not present as white, because everybody deserves a chance to be happy and free, goddammit, and that's not what's going down in this country right now. So today we spent some time just kind of being on the lookout, and this weekend we got together, me and other people in the community got together for a concert that some local musicians were putting on. And before the concert started, we all had to have a quick talk about what would happen if I showed up. So we made a plan. We got together. Everybody knew the plan. Thankfully, I'm so grateful nothing happened. Nobody came by. But if they did, we were as prepared as we were going to be. So that's kind of what life looks like right now. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on that, because I know a lot of people come to the show for a warm, fuzzy place and to hear about games and maybe laugh a little bit. But that's the reality of where we're at, and it feels really strange to pretend like things are fine on the podcast when things are very, very not fine in real life. So that's where we're at right now. Grim, fucking grim, dude, really grim. Not liking this at all. Okay, transitioning to other things, because as I said, I know this is a safe place for a lot of people, and I do want people to keep coming back to the show. I can tell you a funny story about my dog. You might remember that recently my wife got a couple of Chihuahua puppies. Now, we already had a Chihuahua, Kimchi, and we already had a little Jack Russell mix who's named Paisley. Those were the two rescue dogs we got maybe 5-6 years ago, and they have been our constant companions and our loved ones. But my wife really wanted to get fluffier Chihuahuas, and which is funny because she wasn't really a Chihuahua person at first. And I think we have just slowly converted her. I think she's now fully in the Chihuahua camp right now. So we got some, I don't know, 6 months ago or something like that. And two of them, one of us, the smallest one is named Peanut, and the one that is bigger is named Danger. And we named him Danger because he is fucking insane. He is a danger to himself and others. And that's why we named him Danger, because he is unhinged, like 12 out of 10, like crazy ass dog 24/7. And it's a lot. He's a lot. So when he gets bored, which is often, because he should be herding sheep or something. Even though he's a Chihuahua, I could easily imagine him herding sheep or being on a farm and doing some work. I don't know, whatever work dogs do. He wants to be running and he could probably, I don't know, chase vermin or something. Whatever a dog does for a job, he could do that. He needs a job to do. Peanut is fine just to hang out on the couch and chill, and that's my vibe. He and I are vibe buddies. But Danger needs to be busy 24/7. So when he gets bored, he'll like start chewing stuff and eating stuff. And he eats a lot of just random things around the house when he gets bored, which is a problem. It's a problem. It's a danger to him, again, as I've said, but it's also a problem. So this morning, he went to the bathroom and we were like, what's going on over there? It looks like something's happening. It looked like it wasn't normal. And he was kind of struggling a little bit. And then he like jumped up and ran off. But then he like immediately squatted back down like he wasn't done. And then he jumped up onto the chair like he wasn't done. And of course, we're just like, oh no, not in the chair. No, oh no, get him. And so we ran towards him and nothing was coming out. I mean, he didn't make a mess, but he was like stuck. And so we're like, all right, I guess it's time for us to be grown-ups. One of us go get a pair of rubber gloves, which we keep nearby for just this purpose. And so one of us held him and we went to take a look at his butt, and he had eaten a whole bunch of like hair, I guess. I mean, I'm basically bald. By choice, because I shaved my head. And not that there's any shame in being naturally bald. Whatever. There's no shame. It's just whatever you want to do is fine. Bald or naturally bald, not naturally bald, doesn't matter. But my wife has pretty long hair. And so I'm like, okay, so this is clearly your hair. And he must have been hoovering the floor. And he had a big hairball kind of like sticking out of his butt. And he couldn't get it out. And so the wife puts on the glove and she starts, I'm holding Danger. And she's like pulling the hair. And it's just like stuck. And then she pulls some more. And it's like snap, snap, snap. And she's like snapping the hair threads. And we're like, oh my God, what is going on? So we had to manually disimpact this kid for a little bit. But it wasn't done. And we kind of kept an eye on him. And after we had removed 17 pounds of hair or whatever, he was like back to his peppy self and running back around the house. So he's fine. He's fine. Everything's fine. That was gross and stupid and funny. And just what happens when you have a dog that is as dangerous to himself and others as our dog is. So hopefully you got a laugh out of that, because I can laugh about it now. It was pretty gross when we were doing it, but it's funny now. All right, folks. Jesus, where am I? What am I doing? What's going on? Fuck it. I was going to read you what we published at Game Critics last week. Should I do that? Okay, sure. Whatever. Let's do that. Click, 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 click. We've published a review of Full Metal Schoolgirl last week from Mitch Z. That's a fun little tower climbing roguelike where you play an android. We published Eugene Sax's late coming 2025 games of the year. Much like everybody at Game Critics, his top games are like no one will ever guess. You never know. Let's see. We published episode 470 of the podcast last week. We published Jason's Hotel Barcelona review. That's a funny one because we got code, didn't know there was AI involved, and in fact quite a bit of AI, generative AI. And so once we realized that, we killed the review and just held on to it. And come to find out that after people had reacted negatively to it, Swery65, one of the developers, said that they were going to remove all the AI, and they did. And so because I believe in second chances, we decided to run the review as a way of saying thank you for getting rid of that Gen AI. And then beyond that, we have a review of the Darkest Files. And that one, oh gosh, that was by Patricio do Rosario. That's a great review, actually. Really, one of Patricio's better pieces, I think. And this is about an investigative journalism piece looking into Nazis who are on trial. Timely content, folks. Very timely content. Okay, I think that's all the preamble I'm going to get into as far as GameCritics.com goes. Shout out to the podcast channel. No, not the podcast. The YouTube channel. I'm sorry. I'm not going to edit shit. I'm just going to roll through this because I am on a time limit and I want to get this out the door. So please forgive me. I will probably flub a bunch of things and let's just pretend like I didn't and just roll forward. YouTube is what I meant to say. youtube.com/@gamecritics.com videos. It's all hand curated stuff. A lot of it coming from Eugene Sachs and Jason, who are doing a lot of video content these days. What else? Let's get to questions. Ron, superfan Ron, talked to me in the Discord, which I'll talk about in a second, and he had some questions, and I love getting questions. I want everybody to send questions, and they don't have to be game related, as you will see here. These are not game related questions. We'll answer anything at all: life, politics, food, sex, love, clothing, style, action figures, and I guess if you want to talk about games, we can do that too. Send us all your questions. We will answer all of them. Okay, let's get to Ron's question here. Okay, let's see. Ron says, since you mentioned liking questions, which I just did, here's one for the podcast. Given that your wife and you are both fluent in American Sign Language, as well as you being married to each other for years, do you guys have any secret signals to each other? For example, if you're at a social event and one of you scratches your nose a certain way, it means this event sucks and I want to leave. I'm super curious to hear how your communication has evolved in that way, since you guys would be one of the very few sets of people who can fully communicate both verbally and non-verbally while being around each other often enough to potentially change the way you talk and sign. Okay, he's got a follow-up, but we'll get to that in a second. Okay, good question. So we don't really have any secret signals. Like, for example, I don't scratch my nose from left to right across the bridge or anything like that. But, you know, if you are a good sign language interpreter, you're very in tune with body language, facial expressions, slight changes in posture. Like, the whole body is kind of a canvas when you're doing sign language. And so basically every movement matters. And we can very easily get across to each other without really saying anything, like whether we want to go or not. Of course, we'll talk about it beforehand. Like any good couple should. We'll be like, you know, you into this? You're not into this? We're just making a cameo. Like, what's going on? Do you like these people? You don't like them? What's happening? So beforehand, we will, be on the same page, or at least fill each other in about what's going on, and we'll make a decision. And then as we're in, the party or the gathering or whatever, we can very easily just like do a very subtle gesture, like a quick nod or like a slight, raise of the eyebrow or something, and we'll know, okay, it's time to go. If we need to, we can absolutely just do straight up sign language and do it on the down low. You don't have to do it up high where everybody can see you and it's noticeable. You can just do a little sign by your, your hands by your pocket. You pull your hand out of your pocket, you do a quick little thing. And as long as the person's watching you, they'll get that. Or we'll just do a little tilt of the shoulders or something. So yeah, we can absolutely communicate to varying degrees, based on, our shared second language. So totally for sure. Yes. Follow-up question. And he says, this one made my teacher pause when I asked it to her in my college class. When you're doing finger spelling, and just as context, the American Sign Language alphabet is done on one hand. So you just raise whatever your dominant hand is, and you go through 26 different hand shapes. Each one is a different letter. And it says, when finger spelling, how would you sign a word that had two consecutive J's? Since you can use a second finger when finger spelling to do a double Z, like in pizza, which you would use the index finger and the middle finger, both of those become the letter Z to show a double Z. I wondered if it'd be more common to sign a double J like that, two fingers doing the loop instead of one, or if you'd likely just sign it twice. Obviously, this is of little consequence, since as far as I know, there are precisely 0 words in the English language where this would matter. Just curious. Okay. So answer to your question, this is easy to answer. We do the double Z because it's very easy physically to do that. It's very ergonomic to have your middle finger and your index finger up at the same time. Doesn't put any strain in your hands. It's easy to do. And there's not a whole lot of letters or words in the English language that have double Z. I mean, there's some, but like barely any. So you're usually doing it for pizza. And in fact, if you just hold up a double Z and then do an A, everybody knows that means pizza because it's shorthand and everybody likes pizza. So that's fine. There are, if you're going to do, for any reason, if you're going to do any letter, double R, double J, double T, like whatever, what you just end up doing is you just do it twice. And you kind of do it like with a little bounce. So obviously this is a podcast, you can't see what I'm doing here, but like, the letter J is like you have a closed fist, you raise your pinky, and then you twist your wrist so the pinky starts upwards and it ends like downwards, like you're tracing the letter J. So what happens is, instead of just doing that twice, you do that motion once, and then once you complete the first one, you just do like the last 25% of it again, just that little trace at the end, and people will catch, okay, that was 2Js. You can do it slower if you want to be clear. You can do it up higher if you want to make sure that people that know what you're doing, and you can be really, really, really obvious about it. But that's really what you do. You just bounce it, and you do it twice, and everybody knows that means you're doubling up on that letter. And then unless you're doing pizza, and everybody knows the 2 fingers. But yeah, the reason that we don't do 2 fingers at the same time, like you wouldn't do the pinky finger and the ring finger together, because that, if you try it right now, it feels very awkward. It doesn't feel natural for you to use those like non-dominant fingers. The index and the middle are the strong fingers on your hand, right? Those ones do most of the work. The other ones just kind of ride along. But to do both of those 2 fingers up feels weird. It hurts your wrist a little bit, hurts your hand a little bit. Doesn't feel natural, doesn't feel good. And most signs in sign language, almost all of them, when you do them, they do not hurt you. And so whenever somebody comes up with a sign that feels awkward or weird or feels non-ergonomic, it dies pretty quickly because people don't like to do it because it doesn't feel good. And that applies to the double J with your last 2 fingers rule. That does not feel good to do that. And so we don't do that. We just do the same letter twice rather than doing 2 fingers at the same time. If that makes any sense. I know that's hard to follow. It's a visual medium, and I'm on a podcast and you can't see what I'm doing, but that's fine. I think hopefully I answered your question, Ron. I appreciate your questions very much. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being a listener. Thank you for supporting the podcast. Thank you for these questions. Thank you. And if you would like to ask us a question, if you'd like to ask me a question, Carlos is here sometimes. Jeremiah is here sometimes. If you'd like to ask any of us a question, please do that. You can reach us through the Discord, which I will talk about at the end of the show. But basically, it's free to join. Just shoot me a line. I'll get you in, send you an invite. And if you're a listener, we'd love to have you aboard. So totally no big deal. Would love to have you. Also, before I get into the main portion of the show, just a quick heads up about the Patreon. All the costs of this podcast and sister site, GameCritics.com, are paid for out of my pocket. This literal pocket right here. And if you love the show, if you love me, you love Carlos, you love Jeremiah, you love GameCritics.com, any of that stuff, or even if you just kind of like it, even if you don't love it, but if you like it, if you're even on that level, I would invite you to chip in and help us keep it all running. If everybody listening, including you, would chip in just $1 a month, just $1 a month. Think about all the things you spend more than $1 on. Cup of coffee, sandwich, parking if you're in a metropolitan area, pizza. I don't know, you spend lots of stuff that costs more than $1. So if you want to kick us just $1 a month, if everybody did that, every expense would be covered. And if you could afford it, I would appreciate it very much so, sir. And ma'am. And they. And everybody, basically. All right, folks, as y'all know, I like to start off the main portion of the show with circlebacks, where I circle back to things I have covered in depth on previous episodes. I'm not going to get into all the nitty-gritty right now. Again, just think of this as a quick update to let you know if my thoughts have changed on something for better or for worse after spending more time with it. First up, Baby Steps. Still playing that, although I got to be honest, I have it on the back burner right now, but I did play a couple days ago. Certainly within the span of time that I would use to apply to this particular episode. It's still good. It's brutal. It's hard. It's difficult. It's masochistic. But I think the cutscenes are funny as shit. And I appreciate a good challenge if everything is done well. I feel like the mechanics are dialed in here. You may fall. You will fall. You may lose a lot of progress. You may get frustrated. But the mechanics are dialed in. I do not blame the game every time I fall. I feel like I fucked up somehow. And so that's a good place to be. And I feel like it's kind of a personal challenge in some ways. I don't accept these kind of challenges often, which is weird because I currently have 2 of them going. But I think Baby Steps is great. If you are the kind of masochistic player who's up for this kind of gameplay, I think it's done well, and I'm actually very curious to see where it goes. I think I'm probably halfway through, and if it wasn't for another game that I'm playing, which I'll get to in a second, I would probably still be playing Baby Steps, but I can only play one of these at a time. Also still playing Graveyard Keeper. Fucking love Graveyard Keeper. Love it. It is just like the biggest, deepest, like most nuanced. It seems so simple. Seems like a little Stardew Valley one-off, except for like a little darker tone. But man, there's so much to it. I'm not going to get into it now, but man, it is good. It is so fucking good. I really enjoy it. I've enjoyed everything I've done. I spent most of my time lately on the refugee camp. because that's close to my house, and I felt like the objectives were pretty straightforward, pretty easy to do. So I went up there, helped out the refugees. I basically finished that whole quest line, and it ends up happening that they give you some farmland you can use to grow crops really, really quickly that you can use for either food or you can sell those for profit. And there's a lady there that cooks stuff for you. So if you don't like fucking with the cooking stuff, she'll cook stuff for you, which is really great. There's also a couple new vendors, brand new vendors in that town that sell stuff you can't get anywhere else. And there's something else happening in that town. There's some other amenity. I can't remember what it is, but there's like one other thing you can do in that town, which is really great. So there's lots of like mechanical gameplay benefits to actually doing the side quests, but it's also just really fun to help them out and really fun to just build that little section. And it goes from being just like a tent or two to like this little like mini city off in the wilderness where you're just like building a well and you're helping them make a kitchen and setting up tents and kind of like making sure they got what they need. So that's really a really fun side quest. And right now I am trying to get my brewery going, getting beer going. I have a couple of objectives where I need to make beer or sell beer, and I have not leaned into winemaking or beer making until just now. So I've been playing the game for quite a while, and there's tons of stuff to do, and I just kept putting it off and putting it off. And I think that right now what I need is a couple more zombies. I need like 1 or 2 more zombies. I need 1 zombie to work my brewery machine because I don't want to do it myself. And I think I need 1 zombie to work the vineyard. And I think I need 1 more to like shuttle the stuff back and forth. Because in this game, you can get zombies to do stuff for you. They will automate a lot of the menial tasks. They're friendly zombies. They don't attack anybody. It's all good. So you got to wait for people to die, and then you get, sounds kind of grim. You wait for them to die, and then you get their bodies, and then you turn them into zombies, and then they do like work for you for like basically eternity afterwards. So I guess don't die around me if you don't want to do some work. I will put your ass to work, even if you're dead. But it's going really well. Looking forward to getting the brewery going. And I feel like once I start selling beer, because this is true of real life, it's also true in the game. You start selling alcohol, you make a lot of money. That's just reality. So once I get the beer going, I got to get some hops, got to get some wheat, got to get some grapes, got to get some stuff going. Once I get this stuff going, I'm in business. And I feel like the cash valve is going to be turned on, and then that'll open up a lot of stuff for me because I have had money, but not like tons of money. And I think at this point in the game, I need tons of money. So we're going to be selling some alcohol. Strap in, y'all. Final circle back is that I'm still chipping away at Deathless, the Heroes Quest. This is a roguelike deck builder with Eastern European themes where you choose 1 of 4 characters. And basically it's like Slay the Spire, but with an Eastern European skin and a wonderful, wonderful, clean, beautiful art style with amazing animation, lovely UI, great combat systems. It's just a joy to play this thing. It may not break new ground, but basically everything they do here is polished AF, and it is just so smooth and effortless and fun to play. The 4 characters are very different from each other. Lots of boss battles, lots of trinkets to get, lots of little nuance to the gameplay. It's just a joy to play. Just really well-produced game. These people have dotted every I and crossed every T, and I love it. So thumbs up to that. I'm definitely going to beat that. It's going to take some time. I will say the one thing that I was surprised by was that each of the 4 characters has their own quest line, and I believe that once you finish all 4 quest lines, they will all converge, and then you do one final quest line, which is fine. But man, it's taking a little bit longer to get through each individual quest line than I thought. I thought I would, at first I was like, okay, just beat one run with each of them, and then you go to the end game. No. You gotta like beat a series of bosses within each quest line for each character, which is fine. But there ended up being a lot more than I thought, and I think at the moment, you have to beat one quest line, I want to say at least 3 or 4 times before you can get to complete that character's quest line, which I don't want to complain because I think this game is a delight, but I do feel like that's maybe like 3 per person is good. I think that's plenty. And then there's like a post game thing and whatever, that's fine. So I'm still in it, still liking it. It's just like taking me a little longer than expected to finish. I thought for sure I'd be at least half done with it by now, and I'm not even a quarter done with it right now. So I guess not a complaint, just taking longer than I thought, but it's still a delight. I still love it a lot. And with these 3 games, Baby Steps, Graveyard Keeper, Deathless, and I haven't even talked about the other stuff that I was playing this week. I'm hitting a problem. I'm hitting the content mill trap, where the best thing for a review writer or a podcaster is to play games that suck, because you play a game for one day or a couple hours, you're like, this blows, I can move on, I'm going to talk about it on my podcast, going to write about it in my article, and then you're done. You don't have to like roll credits or anything. You just move on. The problem is when you get games that are fucking good, because then you're like, shit, this is a good game, I want to keep playing this, and I can't keep talking about the same games all the time. It's going to take me a while to beat Baby Steps. It's going to take me another 50 hours at least, if not 100, to beat Graveyard Keeper. It's going to take me another 20, 30 hours to beat Deathless. I cannot podcast about these all the time. You guys would get incredibly bored. In fact, I think I'm pushing it with the circle back section here. So it sucks when you get, this sounds like crazy to say, but it sucks when you get good games, because like you want to like play those, you want to enjoy them, you want to lean into them and invest the time and really have that experience. And that's great. And you should do that. But when you are a content producer like I am, and like other podcasters are and other reviewers are, you're fucked, because your time is tied up with this one thing that you've already talked about, you've already covered, and then you need something else. And so you got to play something else on top of that. And that means less time to play the game that you actually want to play, and less time for the stuff that you want to review, because you want to play, you know, every time you're playing one thing, you want to be playing the other thing. If I'm playing my fun game, I'm like, well, shit, this is fun, but I need to play something for the show. You go play something for the show, like, shit, I want to play my fun thing. And it's just like, it's a trap. It's a trap you fall into. And I know this, I don't mean this to sound like weird or negative or anything, but like some weeks when I get like 2-3 bad games in a row, I'm like, oh, thank God. I can dismiss these out of hand. I can get back to the thing that I like, and I don't feel guilty about it. I've got enough content for the show. But it's bad. It's real bad when you hit multiple games that are all really good. So I just covered Baby Steps, Graveyard Keeper, and Deathless. Those are all great games, okay? And I'm going to just sashay into the new game section here. I am currently playing another game, which is great. It's like fucking January 20th, and I literally have a Game of the Year contender right here. And I'm just like, oh my God, this could be my Game of the Year. Like literally it could be my Game of the Year. It's fucking January. We're not even over with January, and it's a game that's so good I have not been able to tear myself away. But I can't talk about it yet because it's under embargo. So that's another thing where not only is it taking up my time that I can't spend on other games, I also can't even talk about it yet, which is like double bad, because now I've got like fucking nothing to talk about for the show. So problem. But again, this is a good problem to have. I'm not complaining, but I am very happy to say that this game, which I cannot mention right now, is fucking killer. It is absolutely a masterpiece. It is a masterpiece. I mean, I'm not done with it. I am less than halfway done. This game is bigger than I thought. It's different than I thought. But it's one that I was excited about, and I am very, very eagerly looking forward to talking about it. And it feels like a lock for a top 10 this year, dude. Like for real. Like it's already, I know it seems soon, but like, trust me, unless this game completely shits the bed, which it might. I don't think it will, but it might. There's always a possibility. If this game goes completely sideways, that's one thing. But if it does what it's doing now, this way until the end, it's a lock for top 10, dude. Easily top 3 even, who knows. It's really fucking good. It's outstanding good. Can't talk about it now, but I will talk about it on episode 472. So you've got a little while to wait. That's not right. This is episode 471. Looking ahead to the calendar. I think I fucked up somewhere. 472, 473. 473. 473 is when I'm going to talk about it. Apologies for that confusion there. Okay. Let me take a quick look at the script and move on to something else here. All right. Let me talk for a minute about Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown, which is a demo. The demo is available on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, and I'm not sure about, I think Switch 2. Someone, and I can't remember who you are, I apologize. Someone mentioned it to me in the Gaming in the Wild Discord, and also shout out to all the Gaming in the Wild listeners and all those cool people over there. Shout out to John as well. Somebody mentioned that there's a Switch 2 demo, or it's coming out soon or something like that. So go ahead and check that out if you wish. Let me talk about it here. I am a Star Trek fan. I have grown to be more of a fan the older I get. I think I appreciate more what it's doing than I did when I was a kid. I was definitely like Star Wars when I was a kid, but now I am definitely Star Trek. That's a journey I've been on, and here we are. This game is based on Star Trek Voyager, which was helmed by Captain Janeway and her crew. The basic gist of that is that this captain and her crew were going on a mission to capture some rebels or something. They encounter stuff, things happen, and then they get shot like to the farthest like ass end of the universe. And so they're stranded out there way further than anybody in the Federation has ever gone before. They just have their ship. That's all they've got. So whatever resources they have on board, whatever resources they can find along the way, and they got to figure out some way to get home. And it looks like there is no way for them to get home because they would all die. Like, so they're like, maybe we become a generational ship, or maybe we can find a wormhole, or maybe there's some shortcut somewhere, or we don't know, but we got to start heading back. And people back on Earth give them up for dead. And the whole show is about them just trying to get back to Earth before they all die. Not going to spoil that, but it's a good show. Not my favorite Star Trek show, but it's a good one. I watched the entire series. I enjoyed it very much. And it's good stuff. So this game is based on that. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs, but the demo we saw, first off, let me just say it's a little bit on the rough side. Somebody said that they had seen the same demo like 6 months ago. So I'm hoping that the developers didn't spend any time polishing up the demo. They just like re-released it or whatever. And that this is not the final version, because it was looking pretty rough. Definitely looking pretty rough. Some of the assets looked like placeholders. There was no voice acting that I could tell. Some of the menus and stuff didn't look like they were, like you could clean up the UI and stuff, but whatever. So hopefully that we're going to get a more polished version when it finally comes out. I played it on the PlayStation 5, by the way. But what I saw, I really liked so far. So basically what we see in the demo is just like a recreation of episode 1 of the show. And so you're kind of just beat by beat going through that show, kind of setting up what's going on, which makes perfect sense. Now, from my understanding, you're going to be able to play out the events maybe perhaps differently than you saw on the television show. So maybe, for example, one ensign dies, another one lives. Maybe you make a different choice. Maybe you choose to go to planet A instead of planet B, or, whatever you saw on the show, apparently you can make different choices. And so you're going to go on that same journey that the Voyager goes on, starting at the ass end of the universe and making your way back to Earth, or, hopefully. But maybe you take a different route. Maybe different things happen to you along the way. You lose people, you gain people, you make different choices, you have different outcomes. That's fucking really interesting to me. So I'm in on this game no matter what, no matter how rough it is, no matter what it looks like, I'm in. But basically it's really heavily menu based. You see a cutaway view of the ship, which is just fucking awesome. I was kind of nerding out at that. But it's like an ant farm view. The ship has taken a bunch of damage, which is consistent with the show. So you got to fix up the ship. You're clearing out rooms. You're setting up like new machines. You've got limited resources. And so you can cruise around your little, whatever galaxy you're nearby, look for resources, fix up your ship, try to recruit crew, get people to do some jobs. But there's always a limit, right? And that was also very true of the show as well. They didn't have the Starfleet resources. They didn't have the ability to do a starbase or anything. They couldn't get more people. So it was like whoever they had was who they had, and they had to make do. And everybody had like 3 jobs on the ship. And, they all just kind of like made it work somehow. And there were definitely a couple of rough periods where they didn't have enough resources, didn't have enough people, and there was like struggle. Got to make some hard choices. So that's going to be in this game as well. You can already see the bones of it right off the bat. So I'm looking forward to it. The menu-based gameplay kind of looks like the side view of the XCOM base if you played XCOM, or just like a little ant farm view, which is great. And then when you're not in the ant farm view, you're flying around in the galaxies. It's not real-time flying. Like you click a planet and you can scan it, or you click the button to like just fly there, and then you can send away teams down to do like these missions, and there are little requirements. Maybe you're going to go on a mission that needs a lot of diplomacy. Maybe you're going to go on a mission that needs science. Maybe you're going to need a mission that needs fighting ability. And so like each person you send has their own skills, and you kind of mix and match, and there's little skill challenges along the way. A little bit of visual novel flavor there. I think this is great. I think it's a perfect fit for Star Trek. I'm very excited to play this. My only drawback at the time being is that it looks a little bit rough. Feels like it's perhaps not 100% ready for prime time. But again, this could be a very early demo, and this could not be representative of the final work. So regardless, I'm going to play it and see what happens. Very, very excited. Check out the demo yourself. It's available right now on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and probably Switch too. by the time you're hearing my voice. Star Trek Voyager, Across the Unknown. I'm pretty hyped for that one, actually. Okay, I didn't plan it this way, but the next two games kind of like complement or I guess contrast with each other. The first one is Big Hops, which is kind of making the rounds as kind of a early indie favorite right now. I was pretty excited to play this. It looked very colorful and bright. I could go for a platform or something that was like low mental load, and it looked just really fun and cheery. Got a code from the publisher. Thank you very much. And publisher/developer. Thank you very much for the code. Appreciated. Pop this into my PlayStation 5. Gave it a shot. There's also going to be a full review at GameCritics.com by a different writer. They were gracious enough to give us one code for podcast coverage and one code for written review. Two different people, two different takes, which is something I enjoy doing, like getting multiple perspectives on any game. I think that's really valuable. For me, Big Hops. Okay, so you play a frog, and something about the frog just doesn't look right to me. I'm really picky about my art styles. I'm really picky about aesthetics, and something about the frog just doesn't work for me. It's cute. It's fine, but it doesn't like sing to me. Like something is missing from that visual design of the frog. So you're like an anthropomorphized frog. You walk around on 2 feet. You got clothes on and stuff like that. And something happens. I don't know. You're camping or something. You're in the woods. I forget what the story is. And I believe I got okay. The problem I'm running into is like I keep getting pre-release codes. I've got a lot of pre-release codes this week, and like when I play them, I really should like record at that time and just save the clip, but I end up like saving it until I actually record the real show. And by this time it's been like a week or two and I've kind of forgotten like all of the little details of it, but whatever, podcaster problems, who cares? So basically you just do a bunch of like platforming challenges, as you go through the world. Now, I think this game is like, okay. I see a lot of people in my feed who really like it. They think it's cute. They're getting a lot of enjoyment out of it. That's great. And I support that. I can see how that happens, but this game has like a little bit more of a emphasis on kind of like movement than the average platformer does. Like you use your tongue to swing on things. You can kind of hit a wall and do a little bit of like wall running / parkour kind of a thing. There's platforming, of course. So it's a little bit more involved than just your usual hop and bop, which I think is fine. I think it's okay. It doesn't feel like 100% dialed into me, or maybe I just didn't acclimate myself to it in time. Not trying to criticize the game, but I did struggle a little bit with some of those motions. But to be fair, I didn't like sit there and practice it for like 8 hours either. I kind of just jumped in for a quick session, and it didn't feel like mega intuitive to me. So maybe that's just my problem. That's me. Colorful and bright. I felt like the environments were a little bit confusing. As far as I know, and at the time that I played the game, there was no minimap, and so I often found myself turned around as I do. That's just a thing for me. I always like a map. I am a guy who likes a map, and I don't know what's going on in the indie scene, but all the indie people are like, no map, no map, no map. And I'm playing so many games lately that do not have a map, and it's like, that's a choice. That's a choice you can do. I would much rather you do a toggleable map for people like me who need it. In order to navigate, I would like to toggle it on. And if you're, cool indie guy who's got a mental compass, you don't need it, turn it off. That's fine. I needed it, and I got turned around a few times, and so I was like a little bit frustrated. I eventually found my way. I didn't like ever get stuck, but it didn't feel like the levels were like flowing to me. I didn't have a natural kind of like through line. And so there's more than a couple places where I'm like, wait a minute, am I going backwards, or wait, where am I going? And I'm a little bit turned around, and the places didn't seem like too visually distinct for me. And I mean, overall, it was okay. It was okay. I didn't mesh with the frog. I really wanted a map. I didn't completely mesh with the movement, and I don't know. It was fine. I guess I was looking for something, or hoping for something a little more, I don't know, Crash Bandicoot-y. And if you haven't played Crash Bandicoot, where you're kind of like on a track running forward, and there's not really a lot of openness. Like you just kind of just push forward, and it's all about like the reflexes and the jumping, and you kind of just play it, and it's fine. This one definitely had more openness to it. Like you could go many different ways, and there was like different objectives to get to, and you're exploring a little bit, and it just wasn't like in the mood for that kind of a thing. I guess I was looking for something more simpler and more straightforward. So again, that's me. This is not a criticism of the developer at all, and I'm sure that they're listening. And again, thank you for sending the code, and I think this is lovely work. I think it just wasn't the right game for me, not the right game at the right time, and I kind of bounced on it after an afternoon. It just wasn't keeping my focus or my attention the way that I was hoping it would. So I ended up bailing on Big Hops, but you can look forward to the full written review at GameCritics.com. And like I said, a lot of people in my circle right now are really liking this one quite a bit. So don't let me dissuade you. If this game looks interesting to you, give it a shot. And if you are liking the idea of a parkouring, tongue-using frog in semi-open environments, this could be your jam. Okay, so as I mentioned, I ended up playing another game that was kind of like, I don't know, simpatico with big hops in a certain way, or it was an interesting choice, unintentional, that I played these two basically back to back. But this other one is called M-A-I, My, Child of Ages. This is also a bright and colorful action platformer. Seems on the surface to have a lot in common with big hops, at least in terms of like vibe, theme, and kind of like, you know, energy to it, which is a good thing. I think the energy for both of these games is really positive, and I'm up for that right now. But My ended up being a little bit different, and I think it was probably more along the lines of what I was in the mood for. Not that either one of these games is necessarily wrong or right or better than the other. They're just different, even though they do look pretty similar. My is the story of a little girl who is in a land that is having some trouble, and she has to go on this quest to do some stuff. Now, full disclosure, I didn't get as far in My as I wanted to. There is a pretty big hook to it, which honestly I didn't even get to. There was a surprising amount of time that you play before you get to the hook. So what I played was you are a small child who is living with your grandpa in a cabin. You go outside into these open areas and you collect things. You go on like little micro quests. You're gathering sheep to take back to your farm. You're gathering sticks for the fire. You eventually go into like a cave. It's like a cave of challenges. You were fated to go in this cave, and whoever set this cave up knew you were coming thousands of years ago, so they were ready for you. And so there's like this little like ordeal you have to go through, and you get these different powers. Now, I only played this like for a very brief period of time. I was pretty pressed for gameplay this week, and so I apologize to the developers and publishers of My that I did not have like all the time I wanted to give to it, but I did want to make sure I mentioned it on the show. So basically, like at some point, you have some kind of ability, whether it's a time warp or energy or something, but you go to like an adult form of yourself. You start off as a child, but you can go to an adult form and you have different powers and different abilities. So I was interested in seeing like where that was going to go, how they're going to use that, how that concept will be implemented. Didn't get there because, like I said, you play for quite a while. I was playing for like a pretty good amount. I'm like, damn, I'm still not to the hook yet. That's weird. But I was enjoying what I was doing. Like, you know, a little combat, interesting takes on weapons. You got this little berry that you threw, like a boomerang berry. You threw it and it blew up and it came back to you. So you kind of like had this unconventional way of attacking in certain parts. The running and jumping felt fine. Little puzzles as you went along the way. And this was a more linear experience. And I think that's what my brain was in the mood for right now. I wasn't really looking for like, I don't know, navigational challenges or trying to figure out how to best parkour through something, which I am in the mood for sometimes. But this particular week, I was like, no, I need something a little easier, a little something more digestible. And I think that My was probably more traditional in that way. So I enjoyed what I saw. I really would like to come back to it. It seems colorful, bright, straightforward, good action. Looking forward to hitting the future tense of myself and seeing how that changes things. Looks like a pretty grand adventure to go on. Zelda type adventure. Just didn't have enough raw time to put into it. So I will probably circle back to this one. And again, apologies to the developer and publisher because I did not play as long as I wished to. So, but we can only do what we can do, right? We can only do what we can do. But so far, liking that one a little bit more than Big Hops. And I think, again, not a commentary on either game. I think it's just what I was in the mood for this week. And My was a little bit closer to what I wanted. So there you go. I will probably circle back to My Child of Ages at a future episode. All right. Last game of the show is Mio, Memories in Orbit. The embargo dropped yesterday, and full disclosure, I got code for this game like maybe 2 weeks ago from the publisher. So thank you very much for that. Appreciated. This is kind of getting some buzz, early buzz, as a great thing to look out for, and a notable game of the year, early contender, which is great. Didn't work that way for me though. So what is Mio about? 2D Metroidvania, platforming, combat, pretty straightforward. If you've played a Metroidvania in the last, 5 years, you can get a pretty good idea without ever laying eyes on this game of what you're in for. The number one thing you'll notice is the artwork. The artwork is pretty phenomenal. It's this weird pleasantly weird kind of pencil sketch sort of artistic vibe going on. It looks like $1 million. I mean, it looks great. The aesthetics are on point. I think the world looks beautiful. Nice colors, nice choices, and the pencil sketch effect is really nice. The main character themselves, I didn't care for as much. They're a little robot thing that is holding a disembodied intelligence. In the beginning of the game, you like download, or somebody downloads you into this little robot frame body, and you start walking around the ship that you're on. You're inside this giant ship that's all busted up. All the pieces are disconnected, and you need to like walk around and fix everything that's broken and reconnect everything. I just don't like the way you look. Yeah, it doesn't sing to me. It doesn't really look like the kind of hero that I get really invested in. Some people you look at, some characters you look at, you're like Samus Aran. You're like, okay, that's tight. That looks really good. You look at Hollow Knight, you're like, damn, that looks good. You look at a few, you look at certain characters, you're like, yeah, that character's got the juice. This character does not have the juice for me. It's like a little cloak, little robot pieces, and these energy tentacles coming out of their head. This is a very small complaint, but when you did a certain spin move or a certain acrobatic move, it did not feel as though the tentacles on their head were moving correctly, and it just like totally took me out of the experience. I realize how shitty and petty that sounds, but like, it matters. You're going to be staring at this character for the entire length of the game, and if the tentacles don't move the right way, like, it's weird. It doesn't, I'm like, what's going on? Why don't the tentacles flow the way that they're supposed to? They do sometimes. They just don't always. It's like, could the developer not get the motion right on that one? What's going on? It's weird. Anyway, yes, I'm a bitch. Whatever. Fine. Move on. Sorry. Okay. So you're platforming and you're Metroidvania-ing, it's the thing about Mio is like, it just feels like so been there, done that. I played this game for several hours. I got like through 3 or 4 bosses. I got through 2 or 3 biomes, and it just felt so by the numbers. It just felt so been there, done that. Like you get the double jump, and you get like a dash, and you get, I mean, I'm sure there's stuff later on. I mean, I from all accounts, this game is massive, and I did not finish it, didn't get all the way through it. But the part that I played, I was like, this is just like platforming and Metroidvania-ing 101. It just feels so basic. The pace is very slow in terms of unlocks. It's very long to get anywhere. They're very, very sparse with the save points and the warp points. Maybe those increase in number later. I doubt it. And I just was like, okay, I need way more. I need way more save points. I need way more like fast travel points right now. When you get to a boss, I got to one boss. I think it was the 3rd boss. The run back from the nearest save point was just like, I mean, it wasn't like forever, but it was long to the point that I was getting annoyed that I was having to run all the way back. And it doesn't add anything. It's not like I was learning anything on the run back. It was just like an annoyance. It was like, just put me outside the boss room, dude. Like, I just want to try again. Why are you making me run all the way back? That's like, that is just like such a basic thing to get wrong that we just don't have to put up with anymore. And it's just like, you find currency, you get some upgrades, you find some other little piece you attach. I mean, it was like so by the numbers and so not surprising. So no real hook for me to like feel attached to, no twist to it. I will also say that this game is particularly mean-spirited. I found that there were many gotcha points where you would drop down, or you jump up, or you jump across, and there's enemies just waiting for you. And they just like nail you as soon as you come across. Lots of places that you would have a pretty hard time guessing they were there until you had got caught by them the first time. And I just felt like it was really mean-spirited. I feel like the bosses are also too tough. Not in the sense that they are especially difficult. They're all pattern recognition bosses where they have the same set of moves. You just have to observe them for a little while. Once you figure out the pattern, then you can execute. But they all have like way too much, like at least twice as much health as they should have. And they hit for a ton. And it just was like, and then the run back. And it's like, why is it like this? Why are you like this, Mio? I don't get why you're like this. Now, thankfully, there are some difficulty mitigating options, and I feel like at some point the developers must have gotten the feedback, this is too much, this is annoying, I don't want to do this anymore. So you can turn on a couple of different settings. I forget what they all are. I think one of them gives you 1 extra hit point of life. If you stand still for a minute, it kind of like forms around you. But the most important one, the one that really made the difference for me, was pacifism mode, where if you turn that mode on, no enemy in the game will attack you, except for bosses. No enemy in the game will attack you unless you attack them first. And that was literal game changing for me. That mode in itself allowed me to play this game for several hours longer than I would have if I had to put up with the cheap shots and the gotcha moments. I would have been pissed off and left earlier than that. So I very often would make a jump, land somewhere, see that there was enemies waiting for me, but they didn't attack because I had pacifism mode on. I'm like, okay, good. Now I'm here. I can decide when to engage and in which order and how many I want to do. And that literally made the difference for me. It didn't like save the game for me, but it made a huge difference. And I think that most people will probably want to turn that on because I feel like the game is just too full of little mean-spirited little encounters that are just a bear to deal with, and they're just not fun. So overall, I did not care for Mio very much. I felt like the graphics were amazing, but otherwise pretty standard Metroidvania formula. Go through this big ship, check out different biomes, unlock whatever, get, abilities along the way. It just feels very, very, very rote, very unsurprising, and too long from what I played. I mean, I played a good amount of it and I was like barely scratching the surface. I'm like, is this like a 30-hour experience, a 50-hour experience? Whatever it is, it felt too long. So it's pretty. It doesn't do anything wrong necessarily. I mean, if you're a Metroidvania fan, if you play all of these, you love them, and this is your favorite genre, well, play it for sure. It's a good one. Like, you're going to like it, right? But for me, for context, I like the genre. It's okay. It's not my favorite genre, but I kind of cherry pick these. Like, I only want to play 1 or 2 Metroidvanias per year, and I want to play the best ones. So I want to play Hollow Knight. I want to play Grime, something along those lines. I want to play Blasphemous, something like that, where it's like the best of the best, and it's got something to say, and it's got some new ideas, and you just vibe on it, and that's great. I love those. I don't play all of these, and this feels like one of those. It doesn't really add a lot to what we already know about Metroidvanias, and for that reason, I just did not feel like sinking the time into it or sinking the effort into it. Just didn't have enough on the table. And again, there may be something later. There probably is, but you got to get to it faster, and you need to reveal your cards a little bit sooner. This was a lot to get through for not very much return, I didn't think. So I noped out of Mio after I think 2-3 days or something like that. I'm like, okay, I've seen enough, and I'm good. But if you are a Metroidvania fan and you play them all and you like them, you love the genre, definitely check it out. There you go. That is Mio, Memories in Orbit. All right, folks. Game portion of the show is officially done, but like many folks, I do spend a few minutes a week in front of screens that don't have menus or life bars. That is right. It's time for the TV and movie roundup. First up, Miss Fisher's Modern Murder Mysteries. I think I mentioned it a couple episodes ago. This was a spin-off of the original Miss Fisher series, which I love. Oh my God, I love Miss Fisher so much. That series was so fucking good. It turned me into like a weepy romantic, and I was breathless. If I had a bodice, it would have been heaving. I just love Miss Fisher so much. This is a spin-off show, and I didn't know what to expect. It was actually great. They did a great job with it. They updated it. The original Miss Fisher took place in the 20s. This one takes place in the 60s. With her niece, an unknown niece that appears out of nowhere and is the star of the show. Who cares? It's great. Her supporting cast, great, very female-forward show. Love the 60s outfits. Everything was great. And it got canceled. I was like, what? It only ran for 2 seasons. It was a great show, and I went to do some online research. People loved it, just like I did. They're like, this is a great show. We love it. We want more. And the people who made it were like, fuck you. No, we're done. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was a COVID casualty or maybe somebody needed to get out of the show and had a better offer. I don't know. There's no information. If you know information, let me know. It was just a shame that show got canceled. But I will say, you've got 2 pretty fucking solid seasons of this show. We watched it on Acorn and had a blast. Loved Miss Fisher's Modern Murder Mysteries. And if you've never seen the original Miss Fisher, holy shit, I love that show. Go watch that show. Beyond that, the wife and I finished Mythic Quest. I believe I talked about it a couple episodes ago. This is the sitcom, dramedy, I don't know. I think it's autobiographical, but I think it's faux biographical. Like there's a real mix of elements here, taking place on the, what is it? Apple Store or whatever, the Apple TV, Apple channel. It's about developers at an MMO and how they relate to each other. It seems like you're going to be in for like The Office, but with games at first, but it very quickly matures into something much, much better than that. And I love The Office. It's not a slam, but like you get to know each of the characters. You see their backstories. The show gets surprisingly heavy at times, really personal at times. You see people's like emotional motivation. You see their traumas. And there's a few episodes that are just like fucking sad as fuck. But you see these people grow and change, and the series does come to an end, which is really great. I think it's 4 seasons, which was quite good. I really recommended it. I feel bad for not watching it sooner because Ubisoft PR, and Ubisoft was heavily involved in the making of the show. Ubisoft PR was pretty fucking desperate to get me to watch this show, and I just said no, for various reasons. But now that I'm coming back to it, I'm like, oh, yeah, this was actually pretty good. This was a good show. Should have watched it before. Okay, well, we're here now. Also, after the show is over, they finished 4 seasons. There's a 4-episode mini DLC add-on. The main show is called Mythic Quest. The add-on is called Side Quest, where they give you 4 standalone episodes which relate to the content from the show. They're all great. Those episodes are all really different and really great. One's about a comic shop. One is about a person who's a member of an orchestra. One is about a guild member who wants to play the game. And one is about, one of the artists that works on the game and their personal struggles and how this game is kind of central to all these people's lives, but it means something different to each one of them. It's good. It's really good. Mythic Quest is really good. I'm surprised at how much I ended up liking it. So give it a shot. Give it an episode or 2 to kind of blossom a little bit. But I think it's pretty good stuff, honestly. Shout out to a show we are also watching on the Acorn channel called Totally Completely Fine. We're not done with it, but basically it's an Australian show about a girl who is kind of a suicidal fuck up, and she's having a lot of problems in her life. She's very sad. She's very traumatized, getting a pretty rough ride, and her grandfather dies and gives her his house. So she moves in, but what the grandfather doesn't tell her is that his house is on a cliff. And it is right next to a spot where lots of people kill themselves. They go to this cliff to jump off. And he doesn't tell her that. He lets her move in. Well, I mean, he's dead, but it's in the will. She moves in. And what ends up happening is people show up in her backyard and like want to jump. And so she sees them from the window and she goes out there to stop them. And by stopping these people from killing themselves, she is not only helping them and improving their lives and hearing them out and seeing them as human beings, but also helping herself. She's learning a lot about herself by seeing parts of herself reflected in the people who go there to kill themselves. It's dark, but it's also very funny. It's very touching, very human. Really liking the performances, really liking the show so far. We're about halfway through this show. I think there's only 1 season, I think, which would make sense, but really, really good stuff. Definitely different than our usual fare, but really well done. Enjoying that quite a bit. Last mention of the show, Predator Badlands just dropped on streaming services. We watched it the other day, and it was pretty good. The story is that you follow a predator. In fact, I don't think there's even a single human being in the entire movie. I don't think there is. The main character is a predator, a young, like runty predator who is kind of like the picked on kid in his clan. We get to see the predator homeworld for the first time. We get to see their home life. We get to see their family structure. Pretty rough. If you know anything about the predators, you can imagine it's not like hugs and kisses. So we see all that, and he needs to end up proving himself to his family. And I'm avoiding spoilers here. So he needs to go to this planet that's like everything on the fucking planet is like deadly and out to get you. And there's like this badass monster that he needs to go kill to prove that he is tough enough to become a full-fledged predator. And when he gets there, he finds one of the androids from the Alien series. Those little androids where, they're synths or whatever they're called, where they got the white milk inside of them instead of blood. They're in like every Alien movie. And he finds one of those and it's like cut in half. And the top half of the torso has information on the monster that he wants. And so they team up and it becomes this weird buddy movie where he's got this like half a humanoid synth on his back. And they're going through this death planet where like everything's trying to kill them. And they're becoming friends and they're bonding. They meet some other Some other things along the way. There's lots of monsters. But yeah, I don't think there's a single human being. I think everybody who looks like a human is a synth in this. So there's not a single living human being, which is interesting. But it was fun. It was really fun. It didn't take itself too seriously. Lots of cool action. Cool to see like the Predator backstory, more info on the Predator, the lore. The fights were really like cinematic and goofy and fun. There's one fight at the end which I will not spoil, but I was like, wow, I think that's the first time I've ever seen that on film. I don't think I've ever seen that before, which is saying something. Just a really good popcorn flick. You know, it wasn't too deep, it wasn't too heavy. It was just like action and laughs and the Predator and monsters and sometimes that's all you want. Sometimes that's all you want, and that's totally fine. Big thumbs up to Predator Badlands. I thought that was quite a good film. Very fun film. All right, folks, that's it. This is the show. Before the closing music, we'd love for you to leave reviews, share the show on social media, but most important of all, please recommend the show to your friends because nothing beats good old word of mouth. And as always, want your questions and comments, just like Ron sent in questions at the beginning of the show. Send us anything. Literally any fucking question I will answer. You can email me directly, sovietgamespodcast@gmail.com. You can hit me up on social media. I'm on Instagram and Blue Sky. It's my name, BradGallaway, all A's, no O's. You can hit me up in the Soviet Games Discord, which I mentioned earlier. It's totally free of charge to join. Just drop me a line through any of the channels I just mentioned, and I will get you on board to continue the conversation. And finally, if you'd like to support this show and help with the cost of running this podcast and also sister site GameCritics.com, you can do that over at patreon.com/the Soviet Games Podcast. Every single dollar helps, and a euro helps that much more. Folks, that is going to do it for episode 471. 471. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for coming along on this journey. Thanks for being my constant companion. Thanks for listening to me rant and make mistakes and babble and stumble on my words and just make a fool of myself. I appreciate it. Thank you for lending me your ears. And I'll see you next week.